read romance books, Craig?
I'll be honest.
Do you know
Don't read a lot.
there's romance in everything. There's romance in Star Wars.
Oh, well, yes.
There you go.
That is true.
So
that is true.
chances are you have read a romance book, and chances are you have an author in your neighbourhood.
Well, yeah, Queensland is really punching above its weight when it comes to romance novelists.
Yeah, publishing more romance writers than anywhere else in Australia, and we produce more romance films. So why do romance books sometimes get a bad rap?
Oh, do they? Anna Campbell doesn't think so because, well, she's published a large number of historical romance books. Anna, good morning to you.
Good morning, Craig. Good morning, Loretta. Happy Valentine's Day.
To you
And
as
to
well,
you
as we
too.
spread the love. Hey, this all started for you as an 8-year-old. Your mum gave you what book?
I wish I could say War and Peace, but it wasn't. I was a very, very chatty child, and my mother was trying to shut me up, so she gave me a Mills and Boon at the age of 8. And I have to say, romance novels have been shutting me up ever since.
So did that actually lead to your interest in romance writing? Where did it all start?
Look, seriously, I think I was a booky kid, and I love fairy tales. And the thing is, basically, a good fairy tale is basically a good romance story.
Yeah.
But I think that certainly sparked something. And then I had a grandmother who was a mad keen romance reader as well too, and she gave me a Barbara Cartland, which was a historical one,
Yes.
and I was kind of doomed from then, really.
Why the historical? Why that type of writing?
Look, I think going back to that fairy tale thing, I think when you're writing a historical novel, I mean, you're not writing about people, starving in huts and having no teeth and things like that. You know, it is a fairy tale sort of story, and also I think the history kind of makes it really interesting. I think I have a theory about romantic comedy. I think romantic comedy works best when there's quite a strict social hierarchy, because the characters break out of the out of the sort of what society expects.
Yes, yeah.
And you have that with the Regency. I mean, that's why the Jane Austens work. The Jane Austens work because Elizabeth is basically a rebel in a society, and she ends up with, Prince Charming, Mr. Darcy. So there you go.
So, Anna, how many books do you have to your name these days?
I'm just about to publish my 49th. I so wish it was my 50th.
Wow.
Oh,
So how many are you churning out a year then? Like, what's going on inside your head and inside your writing room?
Look, I've had a bit of a hiatus because I've just moved back to Brisbane, but most years I get out 3 or 4 a year actually. So
3 or 4 a year?
you do, yeah.
So do you then treat the writing process of I get up in the morning and I write full-time and treat it like that full-time job?
Oh, look, it's a job. It absolutely is. People often say, do you wait for inspiration? And I think the electricity company doesn't wait for inspiration, sadly.
Good point that you made. Anna Campbell with you here on ABC Radio Brisbane. There's a whole romance writing festival on next week. It's called Blussh. It starts on the 22nd of February. So look up blushromancefestival.com for all the details on that, because I know you're speaking as part of that.
I am. I'm doing a panel on keeping the passion on the page.
Keeping the passion
Keeping the
on
passion.
the page.
And it's not just about books, it's also films. There's a whole heap of stuff there.
Well, basically, as you say, I mean, Queensland's kind of romance central. I was so impressed when they came up with the idea for this. I thought, wow, this is such a good idea. And it's Blussh with a double S. So if
with
you're
a
looking for
double
it, make sure you look for the double S. And this is the inaugural one, and hopefully, there'll be more to come.
Why does Queensland have so many romance writers?
That's a really interesting point. I have no idea, actually.
Well, you compare it to everywhere else in the world, and in Australia, we're doing well.
Oh, no, we absolutely are. Perhaps it's a tropical thing. Perhaps, the steamy thing. Who knows?
yeah. I have to ask you about a funny story about a quiz show that you won.
Oh, well, it's not that funny, but I was actually a champion on. There was a very, very short-lived version of Jeopardy in Australia, and I won quite a substantial amount of money for back then.
Yeah.
I ended up moving to Sydney, and that's kind of when everything really started for me. I joined a romance writing group, and I think it just kind of gave me a confidence. Well, it does give you a confidence boost when you win a quiz show.
My gosh, a quiz show. I don't know if I've met anybody who won a lot of money on a quiz show before.
Well, we have now. Her name is Anna Campbell.
And the last question I have to tell you was, what do you do when you're going to announce a wedding? And it was banns, BANNS. And I thought, well, that's the universe telling me to go off and write romance, really.
Ah, yes.
Isn't it ever? Anna, 49 books and counting. But Anna Campbell might be the name that appears on the front of that book, but that's not your real name.
No. You're all in the Batcave now.
It's like a stage name. You've
So-
got a book name.
Why have you chosen to go down that path and write with
Look,
the pseudonym?
I spent most of my life wanting to be published. I got published at 45, and it had been my dream my whole life, and I really wanted to publish under my real name. And then it was one of those things where someone else published under my real name in New York. It was a romance book. She's never published since, but it just came out at exactly the same time as
So
mine.
just the one book
Just
for
the
this
one.
person.
And I had to come up with a different name. And it's funny, when new writers these days ask me for advice, they're expecting me to say, keep the passion and work hard and all the rest and stuff. And I say, buy your domain name.
Oh,
Spend your $10 and buy your domain name.
well then, who is the real Anna Campbell? Please stand up. How did you get that name? Who did you decide?
Well, one of them was the grandmother who gave me the Barbara Cartlands, was a Campbell, and my mother, who, as you know, was a huge influence on it, but unfortunately her name was Dagmar, and I wasn't particularly keen on Dagmar as a name. I mean, fine if your name's Dagmar, but her mother was Anna, with the Danish A-N-N-E, and so I anglicised it, and so Anna Campbell,
And that's what you have.
and that's what I have. Yes.
What is the secret, before we finish up, to a good romance story? You've hit across the formula if you've written 49 books, Anna. So share the secret. What is that? What's a good romance novel? What does it need?
A good romance novel needs a lot of heart. You need emotion. The reader wants to go on that emotional journey, and if they take that emotional journey with you and they get that feeling at the end, they'll pick up your next book. They absolutely will.
Does it always end with them walking away into the sunset in love, or can it end not like that?
That's an interesting thing. I think a romance novel is basically it has a happy ending.
Right.
So the readers want that safe space. They know they'll get that happy ending.
Anna, cannot wait, not just for book 49, but for book 50.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
lovely to meet this morning.
You've got one coming out though. The
I
latest one.
have,
That is-
29th of February, and it's called The Last Duke She'd Marry.
Oh, the last Duke she'd marry. Okay.
Put that on your list, Anna. So lovely to meet this morning. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.